Yo, what's up guys? You got pokeaim here with another Pokemon Sword and Shield moveset video guide on how to use Dracovish. Now, if you guys missed any of my previous ones, there is a playlist down below. Feel free to check them out. Also, I have a guide to team building if you guys want to check that out as well. I saw a few people saying, oh, how do I build X team? I made a guide already with my buddy BKC. That link is down below. And we'll be making an updated guide probably, well, what is it, December 1st by the time this video goes up? Yeah, it'll be Sunday, December 1st, either by the end of the month or early January, just because we want the metagame to develop a little bit. But assuming it does develop, or at least more, I mean, it's always developing, by the end of the month, we'll have another one then. But yeah, Dracovish it's not that strong, it's not that bulky, but it's still one of the best Pokemon in Pokemon Sword and Shield. And that mainly has to do with the fact that it has the Fishious Rend, which is an attack that is 85 base power, 100% accuracy. It's a water stab move because it is water and dragon. My two favorite types, by the way. And it doubles power if the user moves first. So effectively, it's 170 base power. And that doesn't account for stab. That doesn't account for strong jaw as well. So this move is incredibly powerful. And basically, it's a one-trick pony. In terms of that, it's mainly just clicking this move, but that's really all it needs. And on the choice band set, it just maximizes the power that you have on this. You can run Adamant or Jolly on this set. Jolly would allow you to outspeed Pokemon like Bisharp as well as max speed Corviknight, but just the damage from that increase of Jolly to Adamant is crazy. One of the cool things about this thing is, while it's not that bulky, it does have respectable base 80 special defense, base 100 defense, which is really nice, and base 90 HP. So it's really tough to take down naturally. And again, being a water dragon has some nice resistances right there. But for the most part with this Pokemon, you're going to be clicking Fishious Rend. Crunch is there as it gives you an option to hit Pokemon like Jellicent, which is one of the main answers that is switching into Dracovish. Another Pokemon would be Seismitoad. You do quite a bit of damage with Crunch there, about 38-40% with a choice band. Actually, no, more, excuse me, more because of Strong Jaw boosted. I'm thinking of non-choice band. So you do a good chunk to Seismitoad right there. On non-choice band, you actually do around 30-something% or so. Low Kick is the next move because it's basically for Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn is a Pokemon that can obviously come in on this thing. It's also pretty cool too because if you Dynamax, you can get your Max Knuckle and you get +1 attack on this thing. So when you go back to normal and you get your Fishious Rend back, because honestly this Pokemon isn't the best at Dynamaxing, at least not on the Choice Band set. And well, I guess I'll go into detail right now what I mean by that. It loses its Strong Jaw on its moves, and it loses, you know, Fishious Rend's, oh, I'm going to double in power if I go before your opponent. So on the Choice Band set, I don't think it's the best Dynamaxing, but we'll talk about it on the next set in a sec. And the last move, of course, is Psychic Fangs, and this allows us to hit Toxapex, which is another Pokemon that can come in on this Pokemon. However, if Rain is up, because actually Rain teams aren't bad with this Pokemon at all. If Rain is up, this thing 2-hit KOs physically defensive Toxapex with Choice Band, Strong Jaw, boosted Fishious Rend in the Rain. So it's crazy. 2-hit KOs everything or knocks out everything. The only Pokemon that obviously take hits are Water Absorb Pokemon. I wouldn't use Water Absorb in this Pokemon. Unfortunately, I already did by accident the other day, but I would not use it under normal circumstances. And of course, when this Pokemon does get the Sand Rush ability, which is its hidden ability, that is something you could run, which would double its speed in sand. However, just the power that Strong Jaw gives you, man, is just, it's crazy. It's crazy. So another option over Psychic Fangs is Outrage, and Outrage gives you a stronger hit versus Dragons, obviously. Mainly Hydreigon. The rest, Dragons are hit by at least Crunch, like Dragapult, for instance. And Fishious Rend hits like neutral and Pokemon like Turtonator, I guess, if you want to think about that. But I wouldn't necessarily use Outrage. I did slash it, but I wouldn't use it because one of the big things about this Pokemon is it's really hard to revenge kill. And by that I mean that it's hard to knock out after, like, unless you have a super effective move like Draco Meteor from Hydreigon or something, or like a strong move like Choice Band, Darmanitan's Ice Royal Crash, this Pokemon can live a hit. So if you give it Outrage and Ditto comes in, obviously Ditto will have the Choice Scarf and the Imposter, and it can outspeed you and knock you out with Outrage. So I wouldn't necessarily go Outrage. I'd go Psychic Fangs. The next set we have is the Choice Scarf set, which is rocking the exact same thing. Again, you're slashing maybe Psychic Fangs for Outrage, but for the most part, you're going to be running Fishious Rend, Crunch, Psychic Fangs, and Low Kick. And we're running Jolly Nature on this thing. Allows us to outspeed Pokemon like Modest Dragapult, which is, I think, a pretty big one, as well as like an Adamant Gyarados, if those are necessarily running around. But Yeah, the cool thing about this Pokemon is that this one can actually take advantage of the Dynamax. And by that I mean, like, if you Dynamax, right, you obviously lose your Choice Scarf, and that will allow you to go for Max Knuckle and potentially get +1, or you go for the Max Geyser and you get the Rain Up, and then obviously after, if you manage to survive, because this Pokemon is decently bulky, so from Dynamaxing it does obviously take advantage of that. I say obviously a lot, my bad, but it does take advantage of that. And you either get the +1 attack, you can get the Rain Up, you can either use the Max Darkness to help versus something like Jellicent, for instance, or, you know, the Max Psychic move for Toxapex. But the big thing is, if you get up that Rain and then you go back to your Choice Scarf user, now you have a Choice Scarf Dracovish in Rain clicking Fishious Rend. And the reason Choice Scarf is cool because, again, when you go before your opponent, it doubles in power. So if you're faster than your opponent, it doubles in power. It also doubles in power if your opponent switches out, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that also counts, as because the way they did turn mechanics now, so I believe that also counts. And also if your opponent goes for Volt Switch. So let's say a Choice Scarf Rotom Wash goes for Volt Switch on my Dracovish, and I go for Fishious Rend that turn, the Pokemon coming in is going to take the doubled power of Fishious Rend. So it's just pretty crazy to think about. Like, this Mon is really nice in that guard. It's a one-trick pony, and it's probably just going to be clicking, you know, Fishious Rend most of the time, but for the most part, that's really all it needs. And this Pokemon is really cool because it's basically a good anti-offense mon. Has a good speed tier, and by anti-offense I mean that it's just able to punish a lot of more frail builds, even offensive builds as well. But Choice Scarf is really good versus offense because offensive Pokemon are typically frail in a sense that they're not designed to take hits. They're not always frail, but they're not usually designed to take multiple hits. I mean, you know, you're hitting them with a strong jaw boosted, you know, double in power, stab, boosted attack, does a lot. And the last set that I think is actually one of the cooler sets and also good, I've used it in practice, it's also pretty good, is a Quick Claw set. And if you guys don't know what Quick Claw does, basically it's a 20% chance every single turn to move first. In your bracket, of course. So like a priority move would always go before a Quick Claw, Fishious Rend. But if I get the Quick Claw and I have Dracovish out, and there's some games where this has already happened. Like, I've had it happen versus Darmanitan. I've had it happen versus Toxtricity. It would allow it to outspeed it for that turn, or at least that specific thing, move before it, and get the full base power of Fishious Rend. That's pretty cool because, again, this mon is decently bulky. So it actually tanks an Ice Crash anyway from Galarian Darmanitan. But the thing is, Darmanitan will live one Fishious Rend from an Adamant Dracovish that's not Choice Band. But if I get the Quick Claw turn 1, Darmanitan drops. And the idea behind this is to abuse that option. Again, there are other move sets, or there are other move items on this that I mentioned as well. And that would be maybe Leftovers. Leftovers is an item if you want to get some recovery, because with Substitute and your natural resistances, you can substitute on like the Stealth Rock, Toxic, Protect, Scald size and Toad sets running around, which is why I think you kind of need Earthquake at the moment to be able to do some damage to this. And Metronome is also an option. What Metronome does is it basically boosts the power of a move the more times you use it. And that's obviously very strong for Dracovish. And especially because you can sub up on Pokemon like Toxapex, which Scald is 4 times resistant. So it takes a lot of Scalds to be able to break Dracovish's sub. And that's why we have Psychic Fangs and Crunch. We want to be able to deal with, we want to be able to avoid Strength Sap from Jellicent. We want to be able to avoid Will-O-Wisp. We want to be able to avoid Scald Burns on Toxapex. And basically just spam, you know, Psychic Fangs, Crunch, and Fishious Rend. This set is so cool because it also, if you're running a Quick Claw and it activates, it's really hard to revenge kill a Pokemon that is consistently moving before you when you're trying to go out to your Choice Scarf or your faster Pokemon to deal with it. So Dracovish, all in all, is a very, very, very threatening Pokemon. In terms of teammates, it's crazy because like this mon doesn't really need too much to survive. Obviously, a weakened Ferrothorn, a weakened Seismitoad, you know, a weakened Jellicent are all very good because they're all Pokemon that can take at least one hit, and they're stopping Dracovish from spamming its Fishious Rend. Though Ferrothorn, if it's in the rain, if it's Choice Band, I mean, it's getting 2 KO'd by this beast. So that is something, and even Toxapex is getting 2 KO'd. So Pokemon that can deal with that. I really like Hazard Support as well. I like Ferrothorn plus Dracovish as well because it has, you know, that weakness to Dragon. And obviously Ferrothorn does resist that and gets up hazards. Knockoff is pretty cool as Ferrothorn as a partner as well. He's getting rid of the recovery on opposing Toxapex or opposing Ferrothorn, like Leftovers, for instance, is really good because that's its recovery, right? So it's not going to be able to take Fishious Rends more. I definitely think you want Pokemon that can deal with Hydreigon as well. That's a Pokemon that's probably going to be coming in this Pokemon. If it's banded, it's not gonna come in on this Pokemon. But after, it'll usually come into Revenge Kill. So an answer to Hydreigon is nice. Fairy types like Clefable and Sylveon are pretty good. Specifically, Life Orb Clefable with Magic Guard I think is really nice because it has the Fire Blast / Flamethrower to deal with Pokemon like Ferrothorn, which Dracovish obviously does not like. Thunderbolt as well for Toxapex, or even Life Orb Thunder can be cool. It's a 2-hit KO. And, you know, can also at the same time come in on Hydreigon and wall it, unless Hydreigon is +2 and goes for the Max Steel move. So that is something to think about. But like, I think Clefable is a pretty nice, solid option with it because it checks the Dragon types. And this is also a Pokemon you can just pour on your offense. And it's nice because like Pokemon like Cinderace are running around to do things like Court Change and, you know, mix up Hazard. So you can use this Pokemon on offense, even on Sticky Web offense with like Choice Band or Choice Scarf, and you basically punish Cinderace if it goes for its move. You're just gonna click that Fishious Rend. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Again, if you guys want to check out those guides, those links are down below, and feel free to subscribe, leave a like. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, my friends.